Gandhi once said, "The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong." And they don't come any stronger than my first guest. Tina Cherry's son, Louis, was shot and killed back in 1993 when the 15-year-old was on his way to a Christmas Eve anti-gang violence meeting, was caught in a crossfire. Tina went on to found the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute, named after her son. And she joins me now alongside Charles Bogues, the man who pled guilty to killing Louis and served 16 years for the crime. Last year, the two stood together at the annual Mother's Day Walk for Peace, the event Tina Cherry began 21 years ago to promote unity and peace in our communities. It was the first time they were together there, but the relationship between Tina, Charles, and Charles' mother, Doris, goes back much further. Tina and Charles are here now for the first TV interview together. Good to see you both. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
What prompted you to want to meet with his mother to begin with? I read you said, "I realized she was me." What does that mean?
Well, again, you know, back in the early 90s, homicide was going on, and all we heard was drug deal gone bad. They just came out of prison. And really, it didn't impact me until Louis was killed, and that's what I heard. Could have been a drug deal come back, or maybe he just came out of DYS. And for me, I really wanted to know who this mother was, because it could have been my son on the other end of that gun.
Okay, but then that I sort of understand. But then why did you want to meet him? Why did you want to talk to him?
Well, because, again, the humanity of who we are. He was coming back into the community. And he was not the only one shooting that day. There were two groups shooting. And for me, before he came out, I wanted to meet him. And two, I did not want him to come out and end up dead himself or in prison for, killing someone else. So
were you nervous when you knew Tina was coming to see you?
Yeah.
What were you thinking? Did you want to meet her?
A part of me didn't. A part of me was a little bit afraid of what reaction I would get. But when I had spoke to my mother and, she told me that, the type of person that Miss Cherry was, I said, okay, that's
And what was that first meeting when you know that you took this kid she loved, and I feel almost like I know through the years of knowing you, what did that feel like, that first encounter with his mother?
I think more of it was her graciousness to me and, getting the opportunity to apologize for my actions and just the feeling of love that she extended to me.
Did you apologize in that first meeting?
Yes.
What did that feel like to you?
It felt like I finally got to do something that I wanted to do a long time.
Do you forgive him? Did you forgive him?
I did.
Well, I mean, by the way, I have to say, I've had this discussion. I could never do this. She knows me. It's not in me. Why do you forgive him?
I think for me, it's my faith. It's my God. This is what we're called to do. Within society, there's we pay our dues to society, and that's what we call justice. That's man's justice. For me, I feel that by extending my hand and my heart of forgiveness, that is God's justice. He's out.
Is it better for you to, obviously the recipient of your forgiveness, I assume Charles would agree, is a beneficiary. Does it help you to forgive as well?
Well, it's a part of, again, I have to go with my faith. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And for me, it is a part of my inner healing that I'm able to then really walk this walk and talk this talk. Because within our community, we're losing at both ends of the guns. Mm-hmm. There are no winners here. We are both impacted. Our families are impacted, and our communities are impacted.
You've been out 5 years, give or take, a little bit? 3, I'm sorry.
Yes.
How would your life be different if it were different, or would it be different had this encounter not happened, first with your mother and then with you?
I think there would always be the notion that I would have to look over my shoulder, and I probably would not be at a sense of peace with myself. I know that there's a support system in place for me. I know that there's people that, if I get into any type of, trouble just adjusting to society, that there's a safety network there that I can go to.
What do you do now, by the way?
Oh, I'm a construction worker.
Mm-hmm. And your family?
No, in the union.
No, do you have a family? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I just have a son.
You have a son.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty good. So what do you hope, both of you, what do you hope to achieve? Beyond the interpersonal thing between the three of you, between his mother, him, and what do you hope that all the rest of us get out of this relationship?
Well, for us, this is transforming the way society responds to homicide. We are all impacted when violence happens. It is not just the individual. This is not just a black child that's in guns and drugs. This is a part of society. And by extending and showing who we are as human beings, it is an example. This is what is called, what academia calls restorative justice in action. It's a preparation of a victim-offender dialogue that took about 10 years for this to happen.
And is the hope that out of this, I know you were together at the founding of this intergenerational justice program. It's nice that after the fact there's forgiveness and joint work, but I assume the hope is that there's prevention in all this too. Does this relationship and the work that all of you are doing, does it make it less likely that there's another Louis D. Brown who suffers the same fate he did and then you did?
Yes, I think.
Why?
I think so. Because I know that I have a debt that I owe to the Cherry family and to society. And had she not reached out her hand to me, I don't think my thinking would have been different, but it wouldn't have been as urgent. And I go out with the group, the Massachusetts Community Outreach Initiative, and we go and speak to kids.
Oh, you do? And,
yes.
And say what kinds of things?
I just tell them my story and tell them that there is a different way to go.
And do you think that has an impact on those kids who are listening to you?
Yeah, I believe so. Because they can check in with the center, they can check in with the reverend, and they know that the things that they're searching for and the things that they're getting involved in, they have people there that have already walked that road. So I can tell them, look, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. It's inevitable.
You know, in addition to the work that Charles is doing, 21 years you've had this. And by the way, for people who think, boy, this sounds so down to spend the beginning of Mother's Day with so many people who've suffered lost someone they love through violence and their supporters, it is one of the most uplifting days I've ever, I mean, it's surreal, and I'll tell you how to participate in a couple of minutes. Have things really changed in the 21 years you've been doing the march, or do you feel it's just a change of names and faces and it's a variation on a theme?
Well, you know, things are changed. Things have changed. You know, now we have the city that is putting together trauma response team. Now we have the governor that is talking about, you know, in his what do you call it?
State of the state.
State of the state, you know, addressing the issue. Yet for us, it's transforming how we respond. It's not, this is not a black issue. This is a human issue. People are dying every single day.
That's one of the reasons you extended the march last year well beyond its traditional route,
exactly,
right, to go through a broader part
because
of the city.
Because once we look at this being a Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan, then it's those type of people. For us, it's about the work that we do, and it's about engaging others, families, societies, and communities. You know, a sense of time, sometimes I get frustrated because the victims were younger. They were not even born when Louis was killed. And those that are shooting were not even born when Louis was killed. So for us is, how do we engage the families of those that are pulling the trigger? How do we make sure that they are connected? And that's a part of what it is that we're trying to do. Don't wait till people become victims to then want to incorporate their families.
So that hopefully the next trigger is not pulled.
Hopefully the next trigger is not.
We only have a
pulled.
second left. Tell me what the Survivors Burial and Resource Guide. I know what it is, but quickly tell
well,
people
quickly,
what it is.
This is the Survivors Burial and Resource Guide. This is the tool that we use to assist families to prepare, make final preparations to bury their loved ones. And now we moved it from Boston. This is a national model that we are hoping for others to use.
You know, I admire you both. If I had met you 25 years ago, do you ever believe you'd be sitting next to Louis Brown's mother?
No.
I didn't think so, but I'm really glad you are, and I think it's really good for all of us. Tina, it's a pleasure to see you.
Well, thank you for inviting us.
Charles, it's good to see you again.
Thank you
so much. And again, I really urge you to join the annual Mother's Day Peace Walk. It's coming up in 2 weeks on May 14th. It starts at Fields Corner in Dorchester, ends at Boston City Hall. You can find out more information about Mother's Day Walk, 4peace.org. That's the number 4, and find out about the organization, even if you can't make it that day.